everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter.
And I'm so Becca.
I saw that.
And I'm John from Art East Quilting Co. And spoiler alert, I love my wiener dogs.
I'm glad you didn't just pause at wiener. That would have been rather awkward.
I thought about it. Actually, I rehearsed that an uncomfortable amount of times in the shower this morning.
Love
Yeah.
it. Perfect.
Look, we've just started and Becca's already out for the count. I have a feeling this is going to happen a lot.
It may just be me
Drop.
now. Like,
We're done.
Yep, exactly.
Have fun, guys. I'll just sit here and laugh at you. If this has laid out what the next hour-ish is going to be like,
Yep.
I need a diaper. I'm going to pee my pants.
Oh my God.
That's why you guys wear the quilts.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can't see the wetness.
Oh no.
I peed your couch. Okay, this is completely derailed.
Going completely off the rails today. John, thank you so much for being here today. It's so great to have you here. We have a lot to talk about and a lot to get to know about you. But before we do that, let's go ahead and kick things off with our quilts, as usual, per the podcast. I did bring back Speckled. Y'all have already seen this one, but I did wash it. I finished it out, put binding on it, and washed it. It looks really good. But what I wanted to show off today is, since we're close to Halloween, got this cute little Halloween mini that I got from one of the mystery Halloween boxes. It was quilted by Nancy Houston. She put this cute little Boo Panto on it. And I love it. I think it's cute.
It's
okay.
so cute.
Oh, okay.
It's
It's Halloween. That's okay. I mean, I've seen better Halloween in John's backdrop.
Right. Yeah. Halloween that's not Halloween, but totally looks like Halloween.
I like the jackalopes. They're
Yep.
great.
Yep.
I am covered with my crabby portrayal quilt. So this is the one that I started on a live stream. I think I just did one live stream episode for it. So it's using 3 different fabrics that I got from the Crabby Quilter in Annapolis. And I've quilted it, but I have not bound it because that's how I roll.
We got to mention really quickly, because we like to sponsor our shops around us. And the Crabby Quilter does have this like 25,000 bolts of this material. They told us whenever we were in there that they had like 35 bolts of this crab fabric, this crab batik fabric, because they ran out of the fabric that they used the previous year. Apparently they make a batik fabric every year. And so they ran out of it the year before. They wanted to make sure that they didn't. So you can pick up some of this crab fabric from the crab. I don't know what happened there.
Quilter.
The Crabby Quilter.
It's beautiful. I didn't realize from this distance, it doesn't look like a batik.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But it's I think maybe up close it probably reads a little bit more batik-ish, but from a distance it doesn't. And that's kind of actually what the batiks that I'm drawn to are the ones that just have a little bit of movement or texture in them. The ones that have they look like you took 5 gallons of paint and just dumped them on a piece of fat. I'm not so into that because they don't always cut the same way. So like this cream fabric, you can't tell on screen, but there is texture to this. So it plays more as a solid.
Yep.
And I feel like I got stuck on batiks when I first started quilting or sewing because my quilting wasn't great and I didn't want to work with solids because I was afraid people would see my stitches. And I was like, oh, there's movement in the batik. So I can use that as a solid, but not.
Yep.
So there's that.
Yeah. I like it.
What do you got, John?
I don't know if you guys are ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm so ready.
My spoiler alert was kind of a spoiler. Believe it or not. So I have my latest Halloween quilt, which is, I don't know, Halloweenies. Halloween.
Oh, look at
which
that
is
puppies. Oh my gosh, I want to do this.
My wiener dog Halloween hybrid.
He looks like a skeleton. We'll have to
see.
get you to send a good picture of that so we can put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
Yeah,
like
for
the
sure.
back. Stars on the
it's-
back.
Yeah.
Starry. Yeah, ruby star.
Love it.
I bought several bolts of Ruby Star for backings because I was just like, they're stars. They go with everything, and they feel so soft.
They're a great backing. Yeah. Even I use a lot of Ruby Star, just regular widths for like my smaller quilts as well as backing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You told us before we started recording that you have a couple of quilts. What else do you got?
So I know Ian is a huge Tula Pink fan.
Yep. And Becca now.
Becca, you still have me beat. I think you always will.
I also know that Ian likes cats.
Uh-oh.
I do.
So this quilt is one of the quilts that was featured on one of Tula Tuesdays. So this has been her house.
Oh, wow.
Did she sign the back?
No, she didn't sign the back, but this is the cat scratch quilt that we did in collaboration with Free Spirit for the Tabby Road Deja Vu release.
Oh, so cute.
Oh, what a great use of that stripe for the tail.
Yeah, and this was quilted by my friend Melissa McIntosh. She's known as the Lakeside Long Armor. And I just have to point out these fish bones in the background because they're adorable.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute.
That's so cute.
So I thought I would bring this for Ian since it's one of the Tula relics in our collection.
I'm jealous that it was in her house.
Have you met her, John?
I have not.
Like in person?
I have not. But I don't know. I feel it's weird. There's not many people well, I guess this happens a lot with celebrities, if you will, but you feel like you've known them for a long time. She's just she kind of has that going on too, just truly. But no, I have not met her. But she is working on one of our quilts right now. That was teased in a little video, the Flying Tigers quilt that she's making for one of her sisters. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing to top that.
I know. I'm sitting here like, well, thanks everybody. Goodbye.
My quilt was a Tula Pink's home.
I know.
What do you got? One that is quilted poorly and overlapped and not even bound. That's what I got.
So are you usually a hand binder? Are you a hand binder or a machine binder?
Mostly machine, but I've been getting into doing some of the hand binding. So for the bigger quilts, if it's just going to be something that's just like a utilitarian quilt, I'll just do the machine binding. But if it's something that I want to be on display or a piece of art, then I'm starting to get into the hand binding just because I really like the way it looks if you hand bind it on the back. So
yes. Yeah. I've been into like the big stitch binding lately.
Yes.
Which I'm really into. So if every time I do a hand binding, I usually try to use a stripe because it's like a built-in guide for your stitching.
Oh.
Right. So like for example, Tula's tiny stripes, like doing the big stick binding, I just go from one, stripe to the other. And then I've been using like Riley Blake has the 8-inch stripe. So what I'll do is I'll go over, the 3 stripes and go like that for the big sticks. And you don't have to think about it. And it's kind of fun.
I think you have just blown her mind. Like, I never would have thought about using the stripes as the guidelines. That is I mean, I don't hand sew binding on. That's not for me. But Becca, I think, has just gotten a huge tip.
Well, and you can use that tip in other areas. So if you use a stripe fabric in your quilt top, that could be used to big stitch quilt it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you just don't have to think about it. Like your stitches are all the exact same size.
Oh, it's so good. But if they're off, you'll definitely.
Well, you would think, but the stripes are busy enough that it still hides any
inconsistency. That's true.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about? Because we have been doing this thing with our guests where we don't really plan a topic. We just organically end up going somewhere, and that's where the podcast takes us.
Yeah. Where would you like to take us today? No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally
We're just here to listen.
We're just here to listen.
I could take you to Oz.
I've seen Sean working on that.
Yeah.
I've seen the kit online pop up a lot, and I'm like, oh, I could do it. No, I could do it. No. So I don't know, but I have been admiring it from afar.
Yeah. So shameless plug for you. This is your newest pattern, if I remember correctly. Yes.
No, this is actually a revamp. It's like we're going back to Oz. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
It was actually our first literary inspired sew along we did. So we've done 4 so far, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We're going to start our, I guess technically 5. We're going to be starting our 5th. But we went back to this one because our audience has grown quite a bit since this first one. And then we took this opportunity to recolor it in Tula Pink fabrics, especially now that there's gray work out there. We have a lot of opportunity for like the tin band and stuff like that. And it's actually going to be run as a sew along by my BFF, Adam, who I think you met, Adam Sews.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so I'll just put that on the list too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ignore Becca. She's adding Adam to the list of people that we're going to be asking to be on the podcast. we've been going through the Rolodex in both of our minds of who we can ask onto the podcast.
If I don't write it down, I will forget.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, that's great. No, he'd be a great guest.
So you've come up with a lot of patterns. You have a lot of patterns out there. Let's start off at the beginning. What was the first pattern? Where did the inspiration come from? And how the heck how did it come to be? Did you just be like, oh, I want to make a pattern, and poof, there it was?
So
there it is.
This is how I feel about me in the quote world. Have you ever watched Mr. Bean?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the opening credits of Mr. Bean, and there's like that beam of light, and then he just like lands on Earth as a grown human, and that's how I landed in the quote world, in terms of the business side of it, because I went from making my first quilt as many of us do, something to do with our hands, and as therapy almost, to quitting my job and going full time at it within 6 months. So it happened really, really quickly for me. Yeah. So my first pattern, so there's kind of 2 first patterns. You'll see in my patterns that there's a lot of animal inspiration. I love animals. So my first kind of animal pattern was a bird pattern called Quilting is for the Birds. And there's like 4 different birds. There's like a blue jay, a cardinal, goldfinch, and a what's the other one? Goldfinch and a robin. So that was kind of my first animal one. But then I also have like non-animal patterns, and that one I kind of designed out of necessity for a workshop that I was asked to teach using something that I designed myself. And that one was called Up and Atom. And that one is a hybrid of the chevron pattern mixed with arrows. So it's kind of like an arrow chevron. So that was my first non-animal pattern. Yeah. And then it kind of grew from there. That's okay.
I think I've heard you talk about this in the past, like how your animal patterns are, how you didn't want to just do standard animals. You wanted to make them fun. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I kind of like to put my own artist spin on them. One of the biggest compliments I ever got as a designer was from Tula Pink. During one of her videos where she held up one of our quilts that we did for her, which was called Gone Fishing, which is like a giant cat in a fish bowl, and there's like fish all around it. And she says, and if you couldn't tell, this is an artist pattern. So that's kind of like the biggest compliment, to know that your patterns are recognizable without necessarily knowing who they're by. So for me, making them my own is either the style. I try, maybe not so much in the beginning, but especially now, I spend a lot of time designing in a way that my animals aren't just kind of in static kind of poses. But then sometimes making them my own might be the humor that's injected into it. So we have a pattern. One of our first ones that kind of blew up was called Goats in Pajamas, kidding around. So, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. It's goats in pajamas. One is called Cat Robics. And actually, I'm working on a recoloration of that one right now for Riley Blake Designs. But that one is cats in like 80s workout, like gear.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen that. The leotards. Yeah.
Yeah. For some of the other ones, we have one called Dinorama, which is like T-Rex on roller skates.
I'm excited to do that one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you guys have talked about that one before. The fun thing about that one is that the block is really big. So you could really make like one of them and just have a lot of negative space at the top, and it would be a great like kids quilt or something like that.
Yep.
That's another theme that you'll find in some of my patterns is the scale of blocks. Usually the blocks are quite large for me. In the beginning, they were quite small, and sometimes I make small ones still, but usually the blocks are quite large. So like one of our most popular pattern is called Cattle Call, which is a Highland cow. And the cow is like 35 inches wide. So you really need one for your quilt. So you'll often see blocks like of that size. Now, of course, then we get people asking, well, can you make it smaller? So then we came out with a pattern called Mini Coos, which is like that same cow, but like in like a 12-inch.
Yep.
And they're wearing like little hats, little tams. So
I love it. I have the dinosaur one, which I'm really excited to do. And I'm not sure if I'm going to make the full quilt or just like one block and have it be a statement piece. I'm still trying to decide that. But I also purchased during the Michigan shop hop that I did with my sister, your sampler book. So it's a book of mini quilt blocks that are all 6 inches and they're all fun. They've got some bats in there. They've got some Halloween ones.
Yep.
And so I pulled it off of my shelf and I've been looking through the book to figure out what I want to do. Cause I don't know if I'm going to make every single block in the book, but it's nice to have a recipe for all of those different blocks and put them into a layout that I want.
Yeah.
I don't know when that book was released, but I got to tell you, I went into the shop where I bought the book, and I don't remember the name of the shop, but I can picture what it looked like inside of my head. And there wasn't really anything speaking to me that I hadn't already seen somewhere else and already grabbed. And it was towards the end of the day. And so I went to the front and they had these baskets of patterns that were on clearance. And so I just started flipping through them and I was like, oh, that's John's. That's John's. They had a lot of your patterns in there that they had on clearance. And so I just started pulling them all out. I was like, this is mine. This is mine. This is mine. And then I realized what I was doing. I was pulling them all out because they were John's patterns. And I was like, okay, let's calm down. We don't need 40 patterns. So I put them back in the bin and they were all stacked together. So whoever went in after me got to see all of its own section. As I was walking back to the register, I had like a needle minder and that was it because I couldn't find anything else. But at the register, they had this really cute 6-inch block, 2 of them, 2 different blocks pinned up on the wall. And I was like, oh, that's cute. And the lady was like, yeah, we're making those blocks from this book. And I was like, oh, show me, tell me more. And she went and grabbed the book and it was the last copy they had in the store. And I was surprised. I did not think it was yours. Like I just thought it was fun to do a mini block, but they were also excited that I finally bought the book because I got to take the blocks down and finish the quilt at home. So I've had that in my possession since the summer and I keep flipping through. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm really excited. I started off that whole story by saying, I don't know when you published that. When was that book published?
Oh, I think that was 4 years ago now. 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So
those blocks have been hanging up for a while.
Yeah. No, maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. That was one of the first bigger ones that we did. So we have our regular, our big sew-alongs every year that are literary inspired, but then we also do kind of smaller sew-alongs. And that was the case for that quilt. So as always, so one of the curses of being a pattern writer is you can't make anything without writing a pattern, because if you post anything you make and you don't intend to write the pattern, everyone's asking when's the pattern coming out. So that was the case with the mini blocks. So I had taken, so that whole thing was born of like a self-led year-long project I did where I just used solid scraps, and once a week I improvised a small mini block and I posted them to Instagram. And then, of course, everyone was asking when they were coming out. So the next year we did a sew-along where I properly wrote them and we released them once a week. And then at the end, everyone had 48 Yes, because there's 48 blocks. It wasn't exactly here. 48 blocks that they can make into this little sampler. Now, I will tell you, that book is a treasure trove because not only do you get these little 6-inch blocks that you can use as filler blocks in quilts or whatever, but we actually have a free tool on our website that allows you to resize traditionally pieced blocks. So basically it says, like, if a pattern is calling for a piece that's, say, 2¼ inches, it'll say if you're, want to make your block 150% the size or 200% or 300 or smaller, cut that piece at this size instead. So there's kind of like a sheet there. So you can actually take those blocks and enlarge them to 9 inches, 12 inches, 60 quite easily. So I actually did that a couple of years ago where I took the 9 Halloween themed blocks. Well, there's 8 Halloween themed blocks, and then I took just one of the Ohio stars and I enlarged them to 9 inches, and then I made a little sampler wall hanging for, I was going to say for Christmas, for Halloween, using all Ruby Star Society fabrics. So
I mean, it would be my Christmas, so I would be okay with that. But I'm gonna go ahead and put in a request right now. I need a quilt that's bats. So just like all the bats, kind of like
block.
He has a block, yes, but like I need.
Yeah,
I need like the way you did with the wiener dogs. I need them to be cute and fun and doing all kinds of things. Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, like little like pop star bats or something.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. I'm kidding with you. I'm totally kidding.
Can we call the pattern Ian's Baddie?
Yes.
That's also the name of his autobiography, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. So
well, you just started something, and now I know the comments are going to go crazy. People are going to start asking for their animal, and I think the first comment down there is going to be Mary going, "I want a
panda." We have a red panda.
I'll be like, "Oh, I wanted this. I wanted that. I wanted that."
I hope you have your work cut out for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Clear some time on your calendar.
You now have you now have job security. So there you go.
There we go. No pandas in our future. We're like a year out for our modern ideas as we go on.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about the next one.
Wait, you touched on that. Oh gosh, I just had deja vu. Literally, I feel like I've been in this conversation and asking this question before. But anyway, talk to us a little bit about that timeline, because you said you're about a year out. And
Get out of my head. That was exactly what I was going to ask.
Mind melding.
Wait a second. Didn't you just ask this? No.
And the reason why is because I feel like if you're not in the industry, like I know for us, we're working on videos ahead of when they're going to release. So I already know all the videos I'm going to make through the end, like the Tuesday drops. I already know all of those videos through the end of 2025, and I'm even planning out 2026 at this point. So I'm assuming that in the pattern writing world, it's the same thing. You're designing ahead of it, and then you're testing and executing, and then there's the release. You have different phases. Talk to us about what that's like.
Yeah, so there's different phases of that throughout my career. So when I first started, it was very much write a pattern, put it out, write a pattern, put it out, write a pattern, put it out. And then we realized, well, there's kind of more fanfare around it if you do just like scheduled drops a year. So then we started doing like the spring drop where we release 3 patterns and the fall drop where we release 3 patterns. So that was nice because it allowed me to structure my time a little bit more clearly. And then and aside from that, then we have our sew along, which was a big quilt. The sew along quilts are like the largest patterns to write. Like they're intense. But then as we started working more with other companies, we kind of got a better idea of what kind of like the industry timeline is. So just for example, we have our upcoming sew along, which is called Second Star to the Right, which is inspired by Peter Pan. And we've been working with our friends over at Riley Blake Designs, and they're actually going to be producing the kit for that.
Wonderful.
And so so their timeline is like a year out. So so we're kind of adjusting our timeline to fit more with these other standards so that we can, better accommodate our our partners, if you will. But I always have a running list going of pattern ideas. So there's that as well. So if ever for some reason an idea doesn't happen, maybe another designer came out with something similar before I did, things like that, then, I can swap things in. And if I need to, I can get a pattern out fairly quickly if I need to, but it's still, the process starts with designing digitally and then creating all of the graphics digitally, writing the pattern. Then it gets sent to a tech editor who tech edits. My tech editor's name is Mary. Hi, Mary. She's great. One thing I will say, Mary's really cool with how she edits. So a lot of times if you have people test your pattern, what I found in the past, and the fabric is so exciting for quilters that they usually don't end up reading the pattern very closely. So it's like, yeah, I can make it. Here it is. Yay. But you're not getting all those the grits out of the pattern. And you've written a couple of patterns, I think, right?
Yeah.
By both of you? Yeah. So
I'm working on my first one, and I have sent it out to testers, and this is like my very first time getting feedback from testers and being like, oh, like I thought I was going to get it back, and they're like, yeah, it's great. And I'm getting like so many notes, and I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm not as good as I thought I was.
No, it's not about that. Don't be hard on yourself, and Ian, it's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right away. There's going to be a mistake in your pattern. No one's going to have caught it. Most quilters are very gracious. I say most are very gracious and friendly when it comes to that. Let me just say, for people who don't write patterns, no designer ever puts a pattern out with the intention of having a mistake in it. So be kind. Anyway, what getting back to my tech editor, what she does, she doesn't make the quilt. She makes it on paper mathematically.
Oh, that's smart.
So she's not distracted by the fabric and the thread in the sewing machine.
So how does that work?
Yeah.
Like on paper mathematically.
So if, for example, in my pattern, if she has a piece that's 4.5 inches by 2 inches, and she says, okay, this is being stitched to this piece that's 2.5 inches by 6 inches. She does the math, takes out the seam allowance, makes sure it lines up with what I have in the pattern, and keeps going.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And the most mistakes are found that way, I find, and are able to be rectified that way. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Like, I am completely flabbergasted. My gasts have been flabbered. My flabbers have been gasted. There we go.
My goal is so to be honest, the best person to test your pattern or to edit your pattern would be someone who doesn't quilt at all, who's just mathematically inclined.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because listen, I do it myself. I write the pattern, and when I go to make my sample, I barely read it. One, because I wrote it and I know what's going to happen. But two, I'm just so excited to see it come to life in fabric the first time that I'm tearing through that thing, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I remember years ago when I first started my YouTube channel, I was trying to come up with this house block idea. I remember this pretty vividly. So I had made this idea. I had drawn out this idea of a house with a very tall roof because I couldn't figure out how else to make it. And in the window of the house, it was going to be like a quilt block or a Christmas tree, or it was going to be something else. Spoiler alert, somebody's already done it. But I was trying to figure out how to write the pattern for it. And so I sketched it out and I wrote down what I thought was the math and I typed up what looked to be a pattern and I passed it off to Tiffany because I was like, oh, she's my friend. She can look at it. She can give me feedback. Worst idea ever, because she got it and immediately looked at the quilt block that I had sent her the pattern for and discarded all of my instructions and did it her way. I was like,
exactly.
That's not what you're like. When I'm asking you to test the pattern, what I'm actually asking you to do is read what I'm telling you to do only that, and tell me if it worked or didn't. And if it didn't work, tell me what went wrong.
Yes.
Sorry.
This brings up another interesting conversation. I don't want to get too far into it because I'm not going to say it's controversial, but some people just don't have the ability to do this.
Okay.
But testers are usually donating their time as well.
Yes.
And their fabric for a lot of people. As we've become more successful in what we do, we now compensate, like our tech editor is completely paid. Like we try to compensate as much as we can now. So that's another thing too, right? You have, as grateful as you are for testers, it's a donation of time.
Absolutely.
And they know it's a donation of time. And you're going to have great testers. I've had great testers in the past who have, donated their time. But once it becomes a transaction, there's like another level of seriousness to the job. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's that's another thing.
Definitely.
And of course, being a quilter and in the quilt industry, I always love to see people be compensated for their time because too often people aren't. And too often, quilters will say, no, but I love to do it. But that's actually hurting the other quilters in that industry. Like you have to set a precedent. Value your time, or at least make people aware of, if you, and this even goes if you're gifting a quilt. And actually, we have a lady in our community whose name is Rebecca, and she's lovely. She's from Texas. She's been with us for quite a while. She actually likes to, especially in our sew-along, she'll count the number of pieces in the quilt so that she'll put it on the label on the back. So that whoever receives this quilt says, this designed by this 1,399 pieces, which there is in our Mad Quilt Party quilt, the Alice in Wonderland quilt.
I believe it.
So it's just like another thing to like, to further, pass on that information so people know the amount of work that went into what you're doing, even if they're not a quilter.
I think a lot of people don't realize, like the average everyday quilter doesn't realize how much work goes into fabric design, pattern design, every part of the quilting industry. There's a lot that goes into it. You just don't think about these things. You take them for granted, to be completely honest. But there's so much work. And that's why Becca and I harp on don't share patterns, buy the patterns, support the pattern designers. Like, don't make sure that you're supporting the community because there's so much work and time and effort that goes into it. And it's so important to support those who are doing this work in the industry.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I should break down the time that goes into a pattern at some point.
You should,
because sometimes just the design aspect can be weeks to months for these larger involved quilts. Yeah, but no, that's it, and you have to support. It's important to support everyone at every opportunity that you have in the industry, and I realize that. Listen, quilting is not a cheap hobby, but if you can't afford to support monetarily, do it through your social media, share their posts, share, there's other ways to support quilters. I mean, we could talk about that all day.
We could.
Yeah. I do have a question though, just like as somebody, I don't know. So I've come across people that'll just be like, oh, it's a PDF. Here, just take the file. That's still sharing, right? Like that's probably the worst of the two. But what are your thoughts if somebody has a printed copy of your pattern and they pay that forward to somebody else? Is that still in the vein of pattern share? I don't know.
The short answer is yes. It's still in that vein. There's nothing illegal about it.
Right.
It's more of a, what the ethics of it. Maybe is it a pattern share? See, I don't really see. It depends on how you look at it, right? It depends on how you look at it. Like
there's literally I'm so sorry. There's literally like I have heard debates on this topic and I have heard like YouTube videos that go
pros
on
and
for
cons.
30 minutes on this stuff because I mean it's the same thing with libraries, they're buying copies of the books, you're getting that book for free. You're reading that book. You're not paying for it, but the library is paying fees and paying the distributors and authors and all that.
And libraries aren't just paying the price of the book; they pay a premium for that book, right?
Exactly.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't just buy copies of those books. They have to go in and pay extra fees on top of it, especially for digital books, because they're being after there's many times that books, whenever they're checked out digitally, after X amount of times it's been checked out, they have to pay another fee for it.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just, one and done with libraries. They have to pay it several times over every time it's checked out X amount of times.
Somebody needs to build, and that somebody won't be me. Somebody needs to build a website of PDF patterns that you can check out that works on that same thing, right? You could pay a monthly fee to have access to this community of PDFs. And as you get maybe like Audible, where you get 1 credit a month or something. I don't know. Like, I'm solutioning it all right now in my head, but that feels like an opportunity that perhaps we're missing.
I feel like at some point there's going to be something like that, but
I think there's been sites that have tried that in the past. I feel, if I remember correctly, back when I first started designing, so I've been doing this for 8 years now. I feel like we were approached by someone. I'll tell you why. I tell you where the difficulty in that lays. If a quilter isn't paying the full price of a pattern, they're more likely to share it because they don't see the value in the pattern. Now, here's another weird ethics question about patterns. If someone buys a pattern but they never used it and then gives it to someone, you know what I mean? Is that is that another thing? If they never ended up using it, you know what I mean?
It turns into a whole different thing. And we won't, but we could go down a rabbit hole, because I can literally sit in the middle of this and look at one side and be like, oh, okay, well, this person who didn't buy the pattern was gifted it, whether the other person made it or not. The author and the designer is gaining exposure with that quilter, and they may go on to buy future patterns.
Right.
It could just be a sample of that. But on the other hand, it's still not something that they bought. And would you go to somebody's house and just take something? I can see both sides of it. So I don't want to get super controversial. So maybe we put this topic to bed and we talk about something else.
let's leave it here. Is support every person in the quilting industry at whatever level of the quilting industry you're in when you can. If you can't, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to a designer, to a creator, and saying, is this okay if I do this? That's the best thing. Is this okay? And they'll tell you, there might be things one designer is comfortable with that others aren't. They might see the value in you passing that pattern on to someone else.
Yeah.
And another designer might say no, and that's okay, but respect what they answer. But yeah, that's where you can support, and let's just keep going.
There you go.
It's interesting to me because when I was in my former life as a lighting designer, I went and saw there was a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at a local theater in DFW, and it was fun because I was still in college. I was still in light design, and I went and saw the show as kind of research and whatnot to kind of bolster my repertoire of information and stuff like that. Anyways, and so I saw the show and I really enjoyed it. But there were some decisions that I was curious about. I was like, I don't understand why the lighting, because it was a pair that did the lighting. And I was like, oh, I'm really interested. So I emailed them, not thinking I would ever get a response from them or anything. Just, let's see. And sure enough, they did respond. And it was very interesting because, I was asking some in-depth questions and they answered most of them, but there was definitely one or two where they were like, this is information that is just for me. I appreciate the question. Thank you very much for that, but I'm going to keep that information to myself. And it was like, oh, okay. I wasn't upset by that or anything. I just thought it was very interesting for them to be like, hey, appreciate that question. I'm not going to tell you my secrets, but thanks for asking that,
Yeah.
So it was cool.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. Sometimes people want to see, want to take a peek behind the curtain. A nice Wizard of Oz reference, right? But no creator is, no creator in any creative industry is held to or or should be made to feel that they have to, right? And
right.
that's a great question when it comes to creators on YouTube, right? Because you guys create all this content, most of it for free, and I hope that your subscribers and your viewers realize how valuable and how gracious that is, because it takes a lot of time, right?
It does.
And it always hurts my heart when I see creators offer Patreons or other ways to be supported monetarily, and then people tear them down in the comments. It's like, then don't watch any of their videos. You don't have to support them monetarily, but
right.
Don't attack this creator. They've poured a lot of effort into this.
Yep. Yeah. When I first started the channel, this was before YouTube had like the perks program and all that other stuff. I saw a trend where quilting content creators were setting up Patreons. And so I was like, oh, maybe I should do that too. That will help me cover the cost of the equipment that I want to get, And I mentioned it, I think, on a live stream one time. And so many people just got really angry. They were like, no. And I was like, okay, well, you don't have to join it. I'm still going to make content here. It's different.
Yeah.
When I launched the YouTube channel perks, which I look at as just a monthly recurring tip, you get a link to a Zoom once a month, and that's kind of all you're really going to get from me. You might get some other things that YouTube throws in there, but I don't control that. So when I first launched that, I was very clear in the intro video about what it was, how it worked, and what it wasn't. And what it wasn't is turning my channel into a paid only channel where you had to pay to watch. The content was still going to be free. This was just a way for people that wanted to find or could financially support me to come and go as they chose, but get a little something extra for it. Even that video, because I launched it and I made the video public announcing the channel memberships, I think within the first 12 hours, I had 30% dislike on that.
Wow.
Normally my thumbs up rate is like 99.8%. Never get 100. There's always one that just does this. But this one video was like 70% thumbs up and the comments were horrible. And so I was just like, okay, I took that video and I made it unlisted, and I really sat and thought about, is this the right thing to do? Ultimately, I decided to keep it, but it made me second guess myself. It made me feel really bad because I was trying to make money for the time that I was putting into this labor of love. Yeah. And I feel like the community that I had, at least at the time, just expected you to give all of your time for free. All of your time for free. And I think there's still probably a few folks out there that watch me that do that. A few weeks ago, I was doing a live stream and somebody in the comment was I think it was actually this quilt. They were very upset that I gave them a link to buy the pattern and I wasn't giving it to them for free. I don't know what you want me to do with that. Like, I give you free patterns sometimes, but sometimes you got to buy it.
Yeah. We got to support the pattern designers. It just boils down to that. We got to support the pattern designers, content creators, everybody that, and again, there's free ways to help support them. Sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing, and of course, sharing on social media are all ways. That's what I say to my audience all the time. I talk about my membership on my channel, but I always back that up with, I understand that times are tough right now and a lot of people are struggling, and that's okay. There are free ways to support us and make sure that you're getting our content out there to help us spread our content further and further. And one day, Becca, we're going to have that freaking silver plaque. One day. We'll get that.
I am 49.1% of the way there.
Yep.
I'll get there.
Almost there.
But who's
John,
counting?
I'm curious. Right, exactly. John, I'm curious, you talked a little bit about your real job, and I put that very heavily in quotes, from you went from a daytime job 9 to 5 to this in 6 months. I'm curious what that 9 to 5 was. Where did you come from to go from this job to quilt design?
So I was actually in sales.
Oh,
so okay. account manager for a large company in sales, and I did not like it. I hated it. But my education is actually closer related to what I'm doing now. My education, like you, Ian, was also in the theater.
Okay.
In costume. So
wow.
That's where I learned to sew, was in school.
Okay.
And I remember in one of the classes we had learned quilting as a like garment applicable technique. This is like way before like quilted garments were a thing like they are now. And I remember thinking, why would anyone want to do this? Like, this takes so much time. Like, and now look at me,
hilarious.
Right? I'm eating my words.
Enter Quilt Blocks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
1 12-inch piece of fabric will have more pieces than the clothing you are wearing.
Yeah, so costume, and then I also dabbled a bit in set design, which is even closer to where
Yeah.
Yeah.
you dabbled in. Yeah.
Ah, that's cool. Awesome. No, I had to work really closely with costume designers, set designers, especially for dance. When I was lighting dance concerts, I really had to work very closely with the costume designers, because whatever lights I was shining on those costumes, I could make their costumes look like yucky. So it was not, I had to be very careful when I was working with the costume designers on that dance, because it could really affect how that piece came out. I'm curious though, was your costume professor as freaking crazy as mine was?
Yes, I loved her. So here's, if Helene is listening to this, so I started in drama school in Ontario. So for those who don't know, I'm Canadian. I live currently in Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario, which is right across from Detroit City, Canada side. So I started my education in Windsor, and I was in a theater and communications program. Or drama and communications, what they called it. And we had to take a design elective, and I took costume and fell in love immediately. And the professor there, she was this, how to describe her? She was insanely talented. She came from the fashion world, turned to costume. She was fiery and loved me, and I loved her. And she got a job at a school on the East Coast and said, I should just take you with me. I said, okay. And I moved across the country. And then 1 year there, she left again, and I stayed there. But no, so yes, her particularly was absolutely off the wall, and I loved every second of her.
How did that, so were you with your husband before you moved? Like, how did he take that?
No,
okay.
So this was a long time ago. We're talking, oh God, 20 years ago.
Okay, no, we can end with a long time ago.
Yeah. I was just a little baby being at the time. Coming out here. Yeah.
So my costume professor, oh my God, she was a dingbat. She was crazy. She was absolutely crazy. I actually changed, because if I was in the calendar year that I started with, I would have had to have taken makeup. I wouldn't have to take costume, but I would have had to do makeup. And she was insane, and she did not like me at all. And so I actually changed my calendar year in order to circumvent going to her class, because I knew she was going to fail me, because she hated me so much. There was a time I was working again dance, and I needed to work with her on her costumes and make sure that we were coordinating. And I basically refused to do it. And my lighting professor was like, you are coming with me. We're going to go talk to her. So I was like, fine. I like sucked it up, and I'm like, fine, whatever. All right. So he introduced me to her. I stuck out my hand to shake hers. I'm like, hi, I'm Ian. And I don't even remember her name. If you went to UNT, you know exactly who I'm talking about. She's not there anymore. And I stuck out my hand to shake hers, and she she stuck her nose up in the air and said, I'm very worried about these costumes. You haven't come to talk to me, and turned and walked away. And I was just like, okay. Yeah, that whole dealing with her was not easy. And she did not like me, so it made my life quite hard. But we got through it. It was fine. But I never wanted to work with her ever again.
So I'll tell you, there was a I don't know if I call it a movement or a thought of theater that I was really into when I was studying, and it was the idea of scenography. And I think there's a book called What is Scenography by, oh my gosh, I'm digging back like 25 years here. I think it was written by someone, Pamela Howard. I'll check. If it's not that, I'll correct myself later. But it's the idea of having one designer, and it's the director designer who basically does the entire vision from costume, lighting, set, all of it. So it's like this idea that all comes into like, you know, from one mind. So it's this complete vision, because theater is a very collaborative process.
Yeah.
And because of it, a lot of times, the final intention is never what anybody in any department intended because of it. It's like that saying, you know, like, what's a camel? It's a horse designed by a group, or, you know. But
never heard that before. That's funny.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
I like that one. What's a camel? Yeah, it's a horse designed by a group. So like, I was always really interested in that, you know, just like that total vision of what's being put out there. Yeah, I mean, wow, I've really dug deep into the timelines there.
I went to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child recently, and like it was such a technically amazing show. There's a lot of tech. There's a lot of, I don't want to call them simple magic tricks because they're hard to do, but they make it look effortlessly. Like they make it they make it look effortless. They make it look so easy. But the way they execute everything and the way that they do everything is so well done. And it was like throwback to my time in theater, and that was the reason why I wanted to do theater, is I wanted to create that magic on the stage. And like there were so many times, like even just lighting cues would help create that magic and create that scene and create that whatever. And I can specifically remember several times during my career in theater and having those moments where I was just like, oh, it's so good. It's like, there's the magic. I love it. I made the magic. So yeah.
It's interesting you say that, Ian, because I was talking yesterday about our big sew-alongs, and that's kind of what we try to do for our big sew-alongs, is create like this magic moment for these adults, right? Yeah. Around these things that they were probably familiar with as they were kids. Speaking of which, I have to show you this. So Becca, you were talking about needle minders earlier. So the kit for our Peter Pan sew along that Riley Blake is putting together is going to come with a specially designed crocodile needle minder, and we just got the samples. I have to show you this because it is the cutest thing.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
So it's little crocodile holding the clock.
That needle minder will make me buy the entire kit.
And so I specifically asked them if they could make sure the clock didn't have any hands, so that when you put your needles on it, it's like they're the hands of the clock.
Look at you! Oh my gosh. No, so I collect enamel pins, thimbles, and needle minders, and I would not be above buying a kit just to get the needle minder. It's a special edition. Limited quantity.
Yeah.
Those are cute.
Yeah. I was so excited when I saw it. It was adorable.
So I've seen on your website the quote "Star to the Left." I've seen you talking about it, but I'll be honest, I haven't gone deep into all of the content. When does that sew along start?
So that sew along, Second Star to the Left, starts April 1st. Yeah. The kits are going to ship in March. The kits are available through us. They're available through shops everywhere that carry Riley Blake Designs fabrics and kits. You don't have to get the kit. You can sign up just for the pattern. We also have fun upgrades to the kit, so you can add what we call the kit and the caboodle. And the caboodle comes with the backing fabric. It comes with a notebook that's themed with the Sew Along. It comes with thread. It comes with embroidery floss or fill embroidery floss and needles, because there are some areas of the quilt that you can do some like running stitch embroidery on as little details. Some of my favorites is like Smee. Do you know the character Smee in Peter Pan? He has like little tattoo. Actually, I could show you here. He has like little tattoos on his arms, little heart, little anchor. And there's like little fairy dust and things like that. And then the backing, I'll show you the backing. I have all the fabric right here. That's why I'm out of this. So this is the fabric.
Oh, that's a lot of fabric.
That comes in the kit.
Holy cow. Okay, so when you go see the price of the kit, look at that stack of fabric he just held up.
It's 13 yards. Plus, actually, that's not all of it, because you also get the binding, which is 8 3/4 yards. It's here. So there's 2 colorways. This is what we call our Dawn colorway. So it's like this like sunsetty color. I have a feeling that's probably Ian's jam, that one there. And then we have the other one's Dusk, which is different shades of blues, like that. And then this is the backing we chose here. So this is called Crochet Circles. And it's by Lori Holt. And the reason we chose this is because it kind of looks like the faces of clocks, right?
It does.
Yeah. So that's why we chose this one. And I think they were actually inspired by that design while they were designing the clock on the on the needle miner. So it's all cute. It's kind of like the whole scenography in theater we're talking about. I kind of like to give a complete a complete vision of what's going to happen.
Definitely.
Yes,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
with the 2 different colorways, all the character coloring is the same. It's just the background that changes.
Yes, the characters were colored and the fabrics were chosen very carefully, so that it's just the background that changes. Here's some other cool nods that you'll probably enjoy too. It's some little theater nods. So the original story, Peter Pan, was originally a play before it was a book. So some of the fabrics that we chose actually kind of pay homage to that. So there's this fabric, which is called Journal Basic, and it's a Riley Blake fabric, and it's ticket rose. So there's actually like theater tickets in here, like admit one theater. So we actually chose that as an homage to its beginnings, to Peter Pan beginnings, and then to pay homage to its iteration as a book. We chose these fabrics here, which is called Just My Type, which is actually like typewriter typeface. So there's all kinds of little nods in there to like the origins of the story, if you will. Yeah.
See, all of out of his mind into the quilts.
Yep.
Speaking of making the quilt, I know Sean. You know Sean, the guy who sews. Yes. He does almost all of your patterns. I feel like every time I see him, he's working on another Art East quilt pattern. I'm wondering if, because I feel like I've heard him talk about this. I'm sure he's doing the sew along. So I don't know how, whatever, but I want to give him a shout out. We'll link to him down below. But if nothing else, he'll show you his progress in the sew along in his weekly vlog. So that'll be really cool to see how his come together.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll say about these projects, people can find them intimidating at first because they're such an intricate quilt, but it's broken up into monthly chunks. Half the work is cutting. Once your cutting is done, it goes together really quickly. That's why.
And you're not cutting the whole quilt at once. You're cutting that chunk, 1 month, like that block.
So this is why we have our
cut. Oh!
Yeah. So and one of the best compliments we got was from Rochelle Rice. She's one of the Inappropriate Quilters from the Inappropriate Quilter podcast. And she says, I'm not a piecer. I don't like piecing. But she says, I love Art East quilts. She says, because at the end of each block, you have a character. And it's different all the time. It's not it's not a repetitious process. It's, you work, and then boom, you have Tinkerbell. You work, and then boom, you have Peter Pan. Like it's it's a good project for someone who gets easily bored with, say, a quilt of, I'm working on one that's 56 of the same block. Yeah, that can get, they're beautiful, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can get bored with that. And there's always something to keep you going. Plus, we record step-by-step video tutorials that I lead in the sew along that are on demand, so you can watch them anytime. So it's like having me in your sewing room. And then we have giveaways and prizes. We're giveaways from like Acorn Makers, Riley Blake, so Phil. And we also have guest speakers. We have Karen Brown coming in as a guest speaker. We have Angie Wilson, the Gnome Angel from Australia, coming in as a guest speaker, who, I'll tease, we are working on a collaborative project right now, which...
Oh, so exciting.
Which I'm teasing a little bit there. We're working on it from opposite sides of the world, which is fun. So I get up in the morning and she's going to bed. So we kind of are like passing ships in the night, if you will. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm curious. I just want to make sure, because I know somebody's going to ask, they've seen your patterns and they now know who you are. Is it stitch and flips? Is that how a lot of the patterns come together?
Exactly. So most of our patterns, it's all traditionally pieced. There's no paper piecing. And it's all, you cut your pieces and then it's either straight line stitch or you stitch and flip. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's like snowballing a corner. And from there, so part of the enjoyment of designing these quilts is playing within the restraints of that traditional piecing method for me and creating these images that are dynamic while mostly staying within this world of straight lines and 45-degree angles. There's a few exceptions there where we'll have you measure over and cut a weird angle, but they're very few and far between. But that's like the juicy part of it for me is that kind of that challenge. And I will say one of our quilts, so we're releasing 3 new quilts next month in October, 3 new quilt patterns. And one of them is an animal that I've wanted to do for a long time because there's kind of like a history of that animal in our family. I think you might be into this animal too, Ian. I think I was stalking you on Instagram a little while ago and I may have seen you on one, but
he may have seen you on one.
But it's an animal I've wanted to do for a long time, but I really needed to get it right or else it can look very wrong. So I finally feel like after 8 years of wanting to do this animal, I finally did it and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So, yeah.
So if I said, nay, sir, nay, would that be in the right direction?
I may say yay.
All right, good to know. Good to know.
Now, how awkward would this have been? How awkward would this have been had he named a different animal that he's been on?
Right, exactly. Well, technically, I've also been on a dinosaur, so I was like, "You've already done dinosaurs, so it can't be that one."
There's a couple of things that I want to bring up. I want to go back to what you were talking about that people get from the sew along online. You were talking about the videos, tutorials that you post where you're leading them through and you have giveaways and stuff. That opens up a whole area that we haven't even talked about. You don't just have the website where you're selling your patterns. You have a whole online community. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the online community, there is a section that's free. So we'll occasionally have free videos or just, they're not extensive, but like, for example, next Saturday, I'm not sure when this is coming out, but Saturday the 27th, I'm going live to demonstrate my process of prepping fabrics and how the Acorn system of products works and my cutting tips and tricks. So anyone can go there and join that and you can get alerted about upcoming events and things. It's also a place to go if you want to be there to know first what's coming out. Then you can do that. But it's also where we host our sew-alongs. So we have several sections there. You'll see one's called Neverland, one's called Wonderland, one's called Oz. We have Green Gables in there. So it's all these sections that are created, which are interactive communities where people who are participating in these sew-alongs can interact with each other. They share images of their progress. They can ask questions. It's a lot of fun. And we've had people meet in real life who have met through our community, which is really fun.
That's awesome.
And they become like real life friends. We have people who become friends from, across the world and they become pen pals. Oh, I also forgot the 100-Acre Woods. The 100-Acre Woods is in there too, because we did Winnie the Pooh so long.
I think that's one Mary would like to do. She loves Winnie the Pooh. I'm trying to think about, like, if I were to have one of those classic tales turned into a quilt theme, which one would it be? What about you, Ian?
I think I wouldn't go traditional tale. One of my favorite movies is Coraline. I would love Coraline as a design like that. Because you could have the mice running around, you could have the button moon. There's so many things you could do with that, and I could totally see doing a quilt theme like that.
Coraline inspired.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's So we definitely tend to go towards the books that are public domain.
Yep.
Yeah. So we try to respect copyright and things like that, which is why, for example, Winnie the Pooh hasn't been available yet in Europe and Australia. So that one's currently only available in Canada and the US. But 2027, Pooh's coming at you worldwide. So,
so when does a book go into public domain? What's that timeline?
It's different for every country.
Yeah. Okay.
It really depends. Yeah. Like Winnie the Pooh was in the public domain in Canada in 2007.
2007.
Yeah. But it didn't come into the public domain in the States until like 2003 or 2004, I think. 3.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so there's weird rules based around it. So you really have to dig into each one. And there's specific things. Like, for example, in our Wizard of Oz quilt, Dorothy's wearing the original silver slippers from the book and not the ruby slippers from the movie, because the movie is not public domain.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. It's interesting, all the little things that you have to do to get around those laws and everything. I believe, if I remember correctly, copyright is 100 years. So I think once we get to 100 years here in the United States, it becomes public domain, unless they file new paperwork that's how Disney is able to keep Mickey Mouse and some of the other characters in their control, because they somehow there's lawyers, paperwork, and a whole bunch of stuff that we won't even get into at this moment.
So we actually have one project that is licensed, and that is our Anne of Green Gables quilt. So it's one of those cases like Ian's kind of talking about. So the family and the province of Prince Edward Island still owns. I pointed over here because the quilt's actually right here if you want to see it.
Yeah.
And we are doing a mini sew along with this one for the month of October. So we've got
love it.
Our Anne there, and we've got the Green Gables house, which is actually directly inspired by the actual house. We visited PEI when we were designing this, the actual house in Prince Edward Island. So this one we collaborated with Riley Blake, who has the license for fabric for Anne of Green Gables. And we actually had to get everything approved by the heirs of Lucy Maud Montgomery, who's the author, and everything like that. So yeah, that one's actually our licensed one.
That's cool.
Nice. Excellent.
There was a second question I was going to ask, and I don't remember what it was.
What's your story that you would want to see turned into a quilt, Becca?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I have this struggle where anytime, and I think I'm starting to grow out of it, but I feel like I have had an identity crisis my entire life, because I would see people around me and they'd be like, oh, my favorite color is this. Oh, my favorite animal. They knew what their favorites were. And I never really did. I was like, yeah, I like that one too, but I also like this one. And I like, it was like, I couldn't make up a decision. And so within the past few years, I've started understanding a little bit more about what my actual favorites are, but I don't know if I have a favorite book that I would translate into a quilt. But I'll tell you right off the top of my head, the Huckleberry Finn came to mind, because I was like, oh, because that probably is in public domain. That's maybe something that you could do. But then as soon as I was thinking that, I was like, maybe that's too controversial, depending on what you bring out. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess I could also go, if licensing wasn't an issue and you could just do whichever one you wanted, I would immediately go with Lion King or Aladdin. My two favorite Disney movies.
Yeah.
So Arabian Nights would be public domain. So a lot of times
there you go.
Those popular Disney movies and stuff come from somewhere which is public domain. So sometimes, like Peter Pan, for example, right? But sometimes the stories are so wildly different that it still wouldn't translate. Like, for example, Beauty and the Beast, so wildly different. Like in the book, even though it's like long, long ago, the book, there's no animated objects like there is in the movie. It was the actual castle itself that was kind of alive, you know?
I would love to see if you could do licensed. That would be a fun quilt with all the different animated characters. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh no, for sure. But listen, this is really niche. If there was no such thing as copyright right now and I could design a quilt based on anything, Ian, you might appreciate this, and I don't think it would sell very well. Little Shop of Horrors. Would be my first thing. I'd be like, we're doing it.
See more off in the distance.
The plant holding all the characters up in the air. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That would be amazing. Yeah, I totally love it.
But you could, even though that might be licensed, you could design it to make for you. You just can't sell the pattern, right?
Well, exactly. Yes, I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where the licensing comes in.
Yeah, for those who, you can't make money off of it. So for those who are curious, you can make whatever you want in your sewing room. If you buy our Wizard of Oz pattern and you want to make Dorothy with ruby red slippers, you go ahead. That's your quilt. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We're making money off it, so we can't do that.
Yeah. Gotcha. That makes sense.
And believe it or not, I got a few strongly worded emails when Dorothy was first released with silver slippers.
I'm sure you did.
Well, it's funny because people just don't know that in the original story she has silver slippers, and I think the Wicked movies, or the Wicked musical and the movie, kind of point back to it and say, "Wait a minute, no, wait," and kind of bring you the true history of Wizard of Oz. There's a whole bunch of. There's a lot of stuff. The Wizard of Oz movies, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. If you've ever spent late nights on TikTok or YouTube, you've gone down that rabbit hole of the whole Wizard of Oz and the craziness that happened on the set, in the book, in the this and the that. It's all over the place. John, it's been so great having you here today. I'm so glad that we've had the chance to talk, but are you ready now for our So Speedy round?
Oh my goodness, I forgot about this. Let me stretch. Yeah.
All right. What's the smallest quilted project you've made so far?
I made a small, this is going to go down a rabbit hole. I made a small unicorn stuffy. Sometimes what I do, so people will often see our patterns and be like, oh my God, that's so cute. I want to make it. I don't want to make a whole quilt. What you can do, make just the quilt block and then just bag that out and stuff it like a stuffed animal. So you have these little stuffed like quilt blocks. I do it all the time. My mom has this growing collection of little Art East Quilting Co. stuffies.
I love that. That's a great idea.
That's
all the tips we're getting.
I know. People should pay for this podcast with all the tips we're getting.
What? Oh, this isn't behind a Patreon.
Right. No, just kidding. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Here. Hands down. I love where I live. Cape Breton Island is one of the most beautiful places in the world. The people are wonderful. We're right on the ocean. I can see the ocean from our window. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think you're near Mom and Pop Quilt Shop too, aren't they? Out on the East Coast?
Just a couple hours away. I've never been, but yeah, we're very close.
Nice. Awesome. Do you like scrappy quilts more or more planned ones?
Planned.
Okay.
Planned. But I love the scrappy look. But every time I do a scrappy look, I always plan it. I can't let go.
The scrappy breaks my brain.
Yeah, like
because I want it to have balance.
Yeah. I can't let go of the control.
Exactly. Which season is your favorite to sew in?
Oh, fall. 100%.
Right?
Yes.
I would right answer.
Like, summer for me is just like the prologue to fall. Like I'm waiting in the wings. Like, come on, waiting for that first leaf to fall.
Do you keep your fabric folded neatly or in a happy mess?
Neatly.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Moon Mist. So
Moon Mist.
This is funny because this is right within my reach, which is a little weird. But Moon Mist is a flavor of ice cream that's only available here in Eastern Canada. And it looks, so this is a Moon Mist scented candle. Let's see.
Okay.
See it.
Yep.
And it's really pretty ice cream because it's blue, purple, and yellow. So people, this is going to sound disgusting to most people. It smells great. It's actually a combination of cotton candy, banana, and grape.
Yeah, no thanks.
I will try that.
This is the question I wanted to ask because this is definitely me. Do you like following quilt patterns or making it up as you go?
Oh. I like following quilt patterns. It's funny because I get so excited when I finally get to or have the time to make somebody else's quilt. Like, I'll like, oh my goodness, like I get so excited. Now, having said that, I would love to be able just to make a quilt without having to even put my head in the space of having to write a pattern about it. But yes, I like to follow quilt patterns.
You're in the perfect industry for you.
Yeah.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, fly. 100%. I fly in my dreams all the time. I guess it means
I love that.
I also lose my teeth. But the the weird thing about flying in my dream is that I feel like I know the feeling of what it's like to run and take off and fly. Like, it's really weird. And I have these dreams often. Like, at least once a month, I'll be flying. Yeah.
See, that's why you did the Peter Pan quilt.
Yep.
I guess so.
You wanted to fly.
Yeah.
He was dreaming about, that's why he's dreaming about flying.
Right,
Peter Pan
exactly.
quilt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you prefer bright colors or muted tones in your quilts?
Bright colors. But I do appreciate a muted moment. One of my favorite quilts I've ever made, I don't have it, it's in the other room, but it's, so I'm a big fan of Robert Kaufman Essex linen. I don't know if you've ever worked with it, but there's one color called flax, which is just like this natural linen color. You put that on any background for me and I'm like in heaven. So one of my favorite quilts I made is my folk sampler quilt, which is another sampler quilt that has like this folk imagery. And it's just all the images are in black and then it's on that like that linen background. Does something.
Oh, you'll have to send a picture of that so we can see it.
Yeah.
What is your dream vacation spot?
I don't know. I really don't know. You know what? I'm really into fashion history. So probably somewhere where maybe like going to like the V&A, something like that. See, I've been to Paris and like Versailles and all that. That was fun. But I really want to go to the Victoria and Albert Museum. I think that would be a great place to be. And I think they actually have this huge Marie Antoinette exhibit right now with like all this like, anyway. I'm a museum guy. I'm not so much like let's go to the beach. I'm like, okay, where are we going? What are the museums? Yeah.
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 That's me too. After working over 19 years in the science museum industry, I feel you.
Yeah.
Oh, is it me?
I believe so.
Have you ever made a quilt as a gift?
Yes. Oh, of course. Yeah. Ton. Although I do hoard my quilts. So I'll very rarely gift a quilt that I've made for the quilt's sake. If I'm gifting a quilt, it's because I've had the intention of gifting it when I'm making it. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly like me. 100%.
Yeah.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes. Although I do like
What
waffles.
is Okay. What is the trickiest block you've tried so far?
Trickiest block. I don't know.
I feel like that's a hard question for you because most of your blocks are unique, right? They're not traditional blocks.
They're not traditional blocks, so it's hard for me to say which one's the trickiest. I will say there's so one of my, it's funny because it's probably one of my top 3 favorite blocks I've ever designed is the flying monkey block. from my Oz quilt. Actually, I can show you. And I wouldn't say he's tricky. He just takes a while. Like, that's the thing. None of them are extremely hard. They just, it's a repetition of the same.
Take some time.
There he is.
Oh, he's the cutie.
Cute.
Isn't he cute?
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you collect anything outside of fabric?
So it's funny because when I was a kid, I was a collector, and I still have a huge bin of like 200 Beanie Babies. But I'm not really now. I'm kind of the type of person now where it's like, it's in my house. If it doesn't have a use, get it out.
Yep.
Matthew, my partner, is the opposite. Like, he's not a hoarder, but like, he will hold on to things. But I will say, in terms of, I know I'm buying more thread than I'll ever use. I know I'm buying more fabric than I'll ever use. But you said it except from that. So I guess that's where that probably comes in. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
What kind of batting do you prefer? Cotton, poly, or whatever's around?
I do like cotton batting. Like the dream cotton. I just like the drape and how light it is. But I'm actually not that picky. Like, I tell my long armor, just stick in it, whatever you want. But having said that, most of my quilts aren't utilitarian either. So if I were using more of my quilts, I might have a stronger opinion.
Yeah. This question feels very like targeted for you. I swear it isn't, but if you could switch lives with a fictional character for a day, who would it be?
Oh.
Peter Pan. He wants to fly.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I switch with Peter, though. I will. Do you know what? The Mad Hatter.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
He's just having a good time until he isn't. Yeah.
That's a good way to describe that.
Do you sew more in the morning, afternoon, or late at night?
Yes. It's all over the place for me. Yeah.
Fair enough. What's your favorite childhood toy or game?
Favorite childhood toy or game? I remember when I was cancel. Sorry, I almost disconnected my microphone. I remember when I was really young, probably around 6, 7, 8. I don't even know if anybody remembers this toy, but it was like this little robot called My Pal 2. And I thought it was like so technically advanced. And looking back at it now, it's so funny because really the only thing it did, it had like a Simon type game where it's like push this color, then like try to remember. And it had this like basketball hoop that came out on its head. And I thought this was the coolest toy.
It was Simon Says combined with mini basketball.
Yep.
What's the quilt pattern you most want to try next?
So I do have. So this is kind of funny. I consider myself a modern quilter, even though my technique is traditional. So there is something very appealing to me about tackling my own Dear Jane quilt. I think that could be a lot of fun. I've also never done a complete quilt in EPP. I've done like small. So like something like that could be in my future. Turned edge applique. I love that type of thing. Yeah. Sorry, I should say.
That also means you have to carve out time to do that.
Yeah. Exactly. I said I like that type of thing. I should say I like the idea.
There you go.
Of that type of thing.
All right, last question. If your sewing space had a mascot, what would it be?
Wieners. They are the mascot of my
back to the beginning.
I know. That was perfect. And in fact, I pretty much had to kick one of them out today or else he would have been here the entire time. I've tried to have him for interviews and podcasts before, but it's like he knows that I have to talk. So as soon as he sees my mouth going, he's like, oh, that mouth needs kisses. So he's like up there the whole time. So he's like up there the whole time, like trying to kiss you while you're doing this interview. Yeah.
That mouth needs kisses. I'm going to remember that when my dog, the serial licker, wants to lick my face.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got two pups, Akumu and Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a black, gray, marbled Maltipoo who looks more like a toy poodle than a Maltipoo. And Akumu is a brown and white Shih Tzu. Beetlejuice came with the name Beetlejuice when we bought him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's aptly named. We got him around Halloween. He's black and gray. It works.
Aww.
Akumu, we got during Easter, the following Easter after we got Beetlejuice, as a playmate for Beetlejuice because he was so hyper. That turned out really well. Anyway, Akumu is named, Zoe named him, and we didn't know until after the name had stuck that she said it was Japanese for nightmare. So there's that.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
speaking of nightmares, I have a question for you guys. Can I ask you a question? Because so spooky season is my season. I love spooky season. Do you guys like scary movies? You do? Do you not like anything scary, Becca?
No, I do.
You do? Okay. What's your favorite scary movie? Because this is the time of year where I'm actually going to force myself to sit down and watch movies because that's the only time.
Okay, so it's a couple of things. I'm going to qualify saying I like scary movies, but I like the thrillers. I don't like the bloody gore, Jason.
No body gore.
No, not really into that. I don't like the blood and guts.
No.
Yeah.
I also, without getting into all of the controversial topics or whatever you want to call it, I do believe in like the supernatural. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that has to do with like possession or whatever, forget it. Forget it. Like not going there. Don't want to watch it. Don't want to have So those would probably be the scariest ones for me because I feel like, I don't feel like I believe that they're real and I don't want to invite any part of that into my life. So, but a good thriller would be right up there. So I really like watching a good ghost story as long as it doesn't cross that line, you know?
Yeah.
I can't, I'll have to think on that, see if I can come back with one.
Everyone is always like such a contradiction for me. They're like, but you like Halloween, you like scary, but you don't like scary movies. I don't like scary movies. I don't like the blood and gore. I don't like the thriller every now and again, sure, maybe. Kind of, but not really. Like the scariest movie and I put scary very much in quotes because it's not scary, it's dumb, but I still love it. I saw Megan, the first one, when it came out. It's so stupid, but I thought it was so funny and like
it's very campy.
It's so campy, and I think that's what I liked about it was how campy it was. But my mind tends to run away. My imagination tends to run away, and so like anything scary, I'm like, nope, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
My daughter loves scary movies, loves them, and she always has. Like she watches them all, and they don't faze her. Like she watches The Conjuring, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, you do you, boo. But I remember when she was in second grade, she wanted to watch It really bad. Really, like she wanted to watch this movie and we kept telling her no because we didn't want her to have nightmares. And she kept asking and asking. And after a year of asking, so maybe she was in second grade, but I don't know. After a year of her asking nonstop, Jason and I decided, fine, if you want to watch the movie, we're going to do this, but we're going to set it up so we're prepared for you being up screaming at night. So we turned it on in the afternoon with lots of light, with both of us there watching it with her so we could be quick to turn it off if we needed. We get to the scene where Pennywise is dancing. He's doing his little jig. And she runs up in front of the camera and she's doing the same dance with him while yelling, "This is the best movie ever!" And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, My daughter was supposed to be born on November 2nd. Her birthday is October 26th. She is a Halloween baby through and through.
Yep.
So it's funny you mentioned The Conjuring because literally last night I just started reading the books written by the oldest daughter of the family, Andrea Perrin. She's written 3 volumes. I just started them last night, which is the family that lived in the Conjuring house with this.
Yeah.
Based off of. Anyway, that's funny that you mentioned that.
I swear Google listens to you because we let her watch The Conjuring just recently. I don't remember when it was, but it was recent. And she had asked for permission or something. And so we said, sure. And we bought the movie and let her watch it. I think she had a friend over. Anyway, I digress. Why is my YouTube feed now showing all these Ghostbusters going to the Conjuring house? Like, I don't want to watch those. Like, no, that's on the other side of the line for me. Thanks.
Yeah. No thanks. I think my favorite horror movie is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's not horror.
It has it in the name. Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, come on. It's my favorite.
Little Shop of Horrors, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, my God. There you go. Exactly. Those are perfect for October. I don't know when this interview... I think this one, it comes out late in October. I'll have to go back and look at the schedule.
You actually do have a scary movie that you love.
Which one?
Hocus Pocus.
Oh, yes. I love it.
We were just talking about that movie this morning. That's funny.
Yeah.
We're on the same wavelength.
That's it's like Coraline, Kubo and the Two Strings, Nemo, Finding Nemo, and Hocus Pocus. Like, right. It's a conglomerate of favorite movies there.
Well, my youngest sibling and I. So, when you with your sibling, you have siblings. Rebecca, do you have siblings, Ian?
I have a sister, yeah.
Okay. You have we have those things growing up where something will just make you laugh till you pee. And it's not even that funny. Well, there's a spot in Hocus Pocus where they're in the kiln and Bette Midler comes out and they had been playing the Learn French, like how to learn French tape in the kiln.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that part where Bette Midler comes out and says, "Hello, I want my book." That, even till this day, 35 years later, we'll just say that to each other and we'll just lose it.
I love it. Love it.
I know we're going to end up watching that movie while we're sewing at some point over the next 6 weeks. And when it gets to that point, I think we're going to both just drop and laugh. We'll think of that.
I bust out all the time. Amok. Ooh.
That's why we were talking about it this morning, because Matt kept saying something amok, and I was like the movie. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm like, amok.
John, it's been so great having you on today. If people want to find you online, where can they find you? Where can they get your patterns? Tell us all the things.
Yes, so you can find us, specifically us, at artistquiltingco.com. You can get to our community there. You can sign up for our sew-alongs there. You can buy our patterns there. We are sold throughout the U.S. in quilt shops everywhere. We have a few distributors in the U.S. Everywhere Riley Blake fabrics are sold, you can find our new Second Star to the Right quilt kit. You can get that on pre-order if you like. If anybody's listening in Canada, we're in quilt shops across Canada as well. And
you're in quilt shops in my area. Every time I walk into a quilt shop, they always have at least one of your patterns. Mm-hmm. And I walk up and I go, high five, high five, high five. It's been great having you. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, John.
Yeah. And I always forget Instagram too. That's where I'm most active.
Yeah, I remember that. I think the first conversation we had, I hadn't heard. We met virtually in one of Karen Brown's Zooms, and I had no clue who you were. And so I had to be the person who was like, I'm sorry, who are you? And you told me, I was just hooked at that point. So
awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
John, thank you so much for being here, and we will see everybody next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.